Hi, let me tell you three anecdotes about people sleuthing. The first two anecdotes are recent, the third one less so. Then I'll give you a conclusion. The first anecdote. The new Israeli government recently sent a delegation to Moscow to meet with Vladimir Putin. One Israeli minister who speaks Russian later told a tidbit about it. When he and his wife were taking a selfie with Putin, yes, Putin asked him, "Who gave hand to whom?" "What?" asked the minister. "Oh," Putin explained, "when I gave a speech before, you sat in the first row, and I saw you and your wife holding hands. So, who gave a hand to whom first?" The minister was astonished. After 2.5 hours, Putin could dig out this detail and ask about it. What a perfect memory! But was a memory display all it was? I don't think so. Yes, it could have been an attempt to impress, maybe also to establish personal rapport with the foreign politicians for future use. But in my opinion, the simplest explanation is that Putin really wanted to know. But why would he? Because any such personal detail can give Putin an extra insight into that minister's character, family dynamics, and possibly his decision making. Is he an initiator or a receiver? You don't think such details are important? I have news for you. They are very important. Which leads me to the second anecdote. A few years ago, I chatted with a friend who is today a money sleuth, what was perhaps, maybe, connected to state sleuth in the past. He told me about a speech by Michelle Obama to schoolgirls, after which one of the girls asked her if she and Barack ever had an argument. "Oh, yes," said Michelle, "every couple does." "So," the schoolgirl went on cheekily, "who makes up first, you or him? That is, who apologizes to whom?" "Oh," Michelle laughed, "Barack always makes up first." And that, said my friend, was intelligence gold, because it gives US adversaries great insight into their chief opponent's character. How? I asked. Why? Because, said my friends, it makes clear that Michelle's husband agrees to give up a bit of self-esteem at home in order to avoid a conflict. Well, if he does it at home, maybe he'll do it also at the office, at work, so opponents can pressure him harder with impunity. "Come on," I said to my friend. "Surely you exaggerate." "Not at all," he said. Like good poker players, intelligence services always look for tells and even pay good money to informers to get them. They may even stage such tests. Stage how? I asked. Here is the third anecdote. Right after JFK's election, Avril Harriman, a senior advisor to Kennedy, warned him against debating the Soviet premier Nikita Khrushchev. JFK laughed it off, but soon thereafter, Khrushchev famously bested JFK in a one-on-one debate, and as a result, the Russian premier saw the young American president as a pushover. This, of course, was a big mistake, but it led Khrushchev to send nukes to Cuba, which cost him his career, because JFK surely was no pushover, either at work or at home, which Jackie could have told the Russians had they bothered to ask her. But I persisted, the personal behavior is not your official one, no? How much personal stuff do you need about political decision makers to foretell their official decisions? As much as you can get, said my friend. You want to know the decision makers' foibles, weaknesses, levers you can push, and buttons you shouldn't. It is all part of the big game of nations, where a few decision makers make decisions for the many. All right, now I can hear you asking, how can this possibly relate to the big game of money, which stock sleuths play? It sure can, because when you sleuth a company's executives, or the company's client, or its board, you should have the same curiosity about them as people as Putin has into the personal life of his opponents. What a CEO secretary says about her boss' behavior matters, as had the opinion of Steve Jobs' engineers about their boss' behavior, or alternatively, what the employees of old IBMs about their chairman and the president and CEO. There's a whole chapter in my book, The Sleuth Investor, where I give a concrete example of how such sleuthing is done. Go read it and you will see. But let's return for a minute to Vladimir Putin, Master Sleuth. And I'll lead with a question. Are you familiar with Zero Hedge, a financial gossip rag popular on Wall Street? It is popular because every now and then it comes up with top-notch information that other newsletters or even papers don't have. How does it get it? Well, what you may not know is that Zero Hedge is, how shall I put it, rumored to be co-published by Russian state organs via intermediaries in Bulgaria, whose mini KGB still has connections to Moscow's big KGB. This Zero Hedge publish both good stuff, which they get from their own sources, but also false agitprop to promote Comrade Putin's interest. But wait, you may ask now, if I think Zero Hedge agitates for Putin's view, why do I read it? That's because Zero Hedge editorials often point to Russia's priority, which helps foretell some international actions. But wait again, you may ask, why do I need to know this, since my sleuthing interest is the market game, not the game of nations? Well. If one is an investor in oil stocks, which I occasionally am, one must learn what Putin thinks, no? Because Putin, allegedly one of the world's richest men, is allegedly also the largest shareholder of Gazprom, Russia's national gas company. No, not owned directly, but via no-name hold companies, via European private banks, allegedly, as well as indirect interest in the gas distributors to Ukraine. But why is this important? Because Comrade Putin is no ordinary big investor who battled his opponents with lawyers in courts. Unlike other big investors, Putin can also fight with tanks, planes, special forces, and intelligence services, all of whom he must pay. And pay how? Why, via oil and gas revenues, because there's little else that Russia can sell except excellent vodka and cute matryoshka dolls. So you can bet your bottom ruble that Putin's foreign policy is 90% meant to promote the rise in price of oil and gas any way he can. And if he must start a little war someplace, or promote one to do so, or maybe see that a competing gas pipeline is blown up, he just might consider it. And during all this, he must often deal with foreign politicians, about whom he'd like to know everything, as much as possible. Like what? Oh, like who gives a hand to whose wife, or which US president washes dishes at home, and which president has his own dishes washed for him in the office. Only then can Putin know precisely how far he can push either. Now, is there a lesson for you in this minus survey of big game sleuthing? Since you don't have tanks and planes and a private intelligence service, much of this is not so relevant for you. But it's definitely relevant to adopt Putin's sleuth mindset. You should always aim to find out what makes CEOs tick, and also their vice presidents and their boards on a personal level. Personal, each one of them. But find out how? Two ways. First, on your own by observation, and chatting with them when you can. And second, by asking people who have met them and know them. In short, treat corporate executives as if they are major characters in a novel or a movie, which in effect they are in a way, as per literal definition of major characters. They are those that can change the plot by their decisions. So, sleuth corporate officials not as faceless commercial bureaucrats, but as private individuals seeking private profit, private power, and private cash. So sure, learn the financial numbers, but to understand how the numbers are generated, always sleuth who is giving a hand to whom in the corporate world and who is taking it, just like Comrade Putin does. That's all for today. If you like it, give it a like and buy my book, The Sleuth Investor. And if you like the book, give it a like too in Amazon by reviewing it, and then tell all your friends so they'd buy it too. I'll see you next time. Happy holidays to you, one and all, and thank you very much for watching.